If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business, especially in today's economy. But over 31,000 businesses do know their numbers because they use NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, planning, budgeting, and inventory, so you can manage risk and improve margins. Everything you need, all in one place. See why NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system. Right now, NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind flexible financing program. Head to netsuite.com/offer. netsuite.com/offer.
Empire.
Welcome to the latest edition of All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alsner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino. We will be joined by ABC7's Scott Abraham a little bit later, talking about kind of looking ahead to the Capitals season. But first, Karl, I want to talk about just summer workouts. I know you were on the ice with a bunch of these guys recently at MedStar Capitals Iceplex, but this is the time of year where, I'm annoyed because I don't want to go to the rink and just kind of watch guys skate, but it's an important time for guys to be out there.
Oh yeah, it's necessary. And as much as you're annoyed, the players are also annoyed too, because
I'm sure they are. Yes.
the skates are like kind of structured. Guys will sometimes go for, they'll come for let's just say the Monday skate, the Wednesday skate, and the Friday skate, whereas other guys want to skate, 5 days a week, and so you have 10 guys one day, and then you only have 8 the next day, and maybe no goalie, or the goalies don't want to skate as much as the players. It's just kind of one of those things where it's a bit of a mess. And then you get absolutely bagged at the end of every practice too. So it's not really a fun time to be on the ice. The only fun thing is that you get to see your buddies who've come back in town from being gone for so long. So it's just, it's kind of the weird time of summer, but it's necessary, and your body hurts every day and you're tired, but hey, that's part of the job, unfortunately.
And it's interesting. Brett Connolly's out skating with those guys too, and I guess Garnet Hathaway's in that group, and be nice to see Brett Connolly catch on somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. I think Connell's one of those guys, and it happens unfortunately where if you're in a place and you realize how valuable he is and how good he can be for your team, and then you go to a different place and it's sometimes hard to get that same, have that organization realize that same value. And I think he's in that spot a little bit right now. Like if a team brings him to camp and they watch how he can play, they'll be impressed, and they just got to give him that opportunity. So hoping for him that he finds something. They're having their second child in the next few weeks as well, so timing is a little bit tough. But yeah, he's Brett's such a great guy, and he's already had a really great career. So I think he'll have some options. It's just whether or not it's the options that are best for the family as well.
Yeah, and it seems like a PTO candidate for sure. But there's just no room, I don't think, on this roster for him or anybody else.
No, I don't think so. And you know what? It's actually exactly what I had told him too. Is this is tough because you've been on good contracts here for a good chunk of your career, and then you get into this position and you're like, oh, there's no chance I'm taking a PTO. I'm going to wait for a contract. And I went through a very similar situation where we had a conversation in the middle of summer with my agent about taking a PTO. I'm like, PTO, like, come on, like there's got to be a deal out there somewhere. Let's just wait before we go ask for one of those. And we waited, and then next thing you know, not only were there no full-on contract offers, but there were no PTOs anymore because all those had been snapped up, and the roster sizes were the camp sizes were smaller that year. So I just said, I'm like, look, anything comes down your way, you take it because everybody wants those jobs right now, and it's just so hard to get.
But also you're also with Brett bringing a Stanley Cup winner to whatever room he's going into.
Absolutely. You want those guys. So he definitely has a lot going for him. So yeah, you just hope that someone can kind of go back and see what he's done and then vouch for him. And then next thing you know, he's doing pretty good.
Right. When we come back on Oz Caps, we will bring in ABC7's Scott Abraham, talk a little bit of cap stuff. I know Scott got into a little bit of hot water with the Washington Commanders, and we'll delicately bring that up because Carl and I always love to talk about kind of interviewing techniques and that sort of thing. So we'll go a little inside baseball on that. And then later on, Scott Abraham will be the latest victim of Carl's stupid questions.
We're proud to be fueling your greatest road trips, exciting adventures, new destinations, and podcasts. Gulf. It all starts here. Opening a business checking account shouldn't be harder than running your business. So, why do most banks still make you go into a branch? With Live Oak Bank, you can open an account online in minutes. That's because they put you at the center of every decision they make. With convenient digital access and superior customer support, that's small business checking simplified. Open a business checking account today at liveoakbank.com/businesschecking.
Welcome back to All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Weiner. We're happy to be joined by ABC7's Scott Abraham. Scott, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, fellas. I feel like I made it. Happy to be on the podcast. I love it.
I do enough of your show that I didn't feel bad asking you about this, so I appreciate this. I want to get to kind of interviewing techniques and that sort of like almost inside baseball stuff later. But you and I talk hockey all the time, talk through the playoffs and all that. I'm curious your thoughts from kind of 10,000 feet on the Capitals offseason and kind of what you expect from these guys this season.
Yeah, certainly GM Brian McClellan was busy, and with the injuries to Wilson and Backstrom, that added a whole different monkey wrench to their approach to the offseason. And I thought Mac did a fantastic job. Obviously, we knew about the goaltending situation. I think all of us were surprised that he didn't keep one of the goalies of Samsonov.
I was not surprised. I was not surprised.
Saying goodbye.
Not surprised.
Yeah, no. I mean, saying goodbye to both. I mean, that surprised me a little bit. But in terms of what they did and how they kind of reloaded, I love the Kemper signing. He has experience, but with success. I'm very curious to see with Charlie Lindgren. I have talked to actually somebody that was close to the Capitals and the negotiations there, and they're really excited about Lindgren and think he could be a wild card in the mix. And then Dylan Strome and Connor Brown. I think Connor Brown could show something. He was trapped up there in Ottawa. I think he has a lot of talent, could put some goals on the board. And, I thought Mac did a good job of retooling and reloading and knowing that maybe you'll get back Wilson midway through the year. And Backstrom is a big, obviously, wild card with his hip. He may be there come, March and April for a playoff run.
Yeah, Carl, Lindgren's your boy.
Yeah, we've had that conversation. He is. I think it's a good way to put it. That he is a bit of a wild card. He easily could be a starter. He has that ability. It's just whether or not he's comfortable and the guys play hard in front of him and all that stuff. And I think that would really just help his confidence, because that's Charlie's a guy that if his head's in the right spot, he is so dynamite in there. So hopefully that is what we get. But just like listening to some of the players talk too, like I think they realize they have a very, very solid team. There's a lot of good players. Obviously they need to be healthy, but I think this team is going to come down to, and it hasn't really needed to be the case in years past, but they need to start outworking teams. They need to be that team that's just a little bit more gritty, I guess is a good way to put it, but they're going to have to work a little bit harder for what they get, but they have the skill, and they just need to make sure that everybody's on the same page, because it seems like maybe the last couple of years it's been slightly disconnected. I don't know if you guys have felt that or seen that as well, but that's kind of my view on them right now. They have the players there, especially after a pretty substantial retool in net. It's just making sure everybody's on that right page.
And I think there's certainly a big sense of urgency this year, because guys, look what next year is going to bring. Look at all the expiring contracts that the Capitals are going to be faced with. And you talk about the core, you talk about the Stanley Cup window, closing. We've talked about that narrative for so many years. But this year's team, okay, take a good look at it, because it's not going to look like that next year. So many blue liners on expiring contracts, and obviously some big names offensively, like a Lars Eller. So, and that brings up another good point. If they're kind of out of contention, or could be buy or sell at the trade deadline, do they make a trade down the road here with an expiring contract to get something in return? So that's something where this year, if they're going to lift another Stanley Cup, if they're going to make a deep run, this is probably as good of a year as they'll have, because next year is going to be completely different.
Yeah, and that's something. It's a good problem to have for Brian McClellan to kind of worry about that. We're a month away, for a little, like 4 weeks, I guess, away from the opening of training camp, media day. Everyone who's paid attention, Scott, you had a little situation with the Commanders and Jason Wright and Carson Wentz, and we talk all the time on this show about just Karl appreciates like honest questions and feedback and all of that. I'm curious your thoughts of asking questions to football players, hockey players. Is there a difference in terms of kind of the dynamic of interviewing players in different sports, because you do this all the time?
Well, I will say this, and I'd love to ask Karl this, because in my experience, I don't know what it is, but I think hockey players are the most gracious, and they're just so media friendly, and I don't understand why that is comparatively to like Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL. I just find that hockey players are so receptive, they're so respectful, and they actually, from my experience, maybe enjoy talking to the media. Let me spin that first, and I'll get to your question. But Karl, is that like the case, or is that just a Caps thing of the core and just that experience of always dealing well with the media? But I just feel like hockey guys in the media have a good relationship.
Well, you know what? I think a lot of it comes down. Well, it comes down to the person, the individual, but it comes down to the media too. Like if the media does a good job framing questions, or why not? Like we've talked, you have relationships with players, and it's not always, just let's get information. Like let's actually chat about some things. So the media has good relationships with the players, then they're more willing to give you as honest of an answer as possible, or take the extra time to help out with a story if that's the case, or whatever it may be. And I think that we're very lucky here, because the members of the media are great. They're kind. They not combative. Like it's awesome. And then you go and play in some other places, and you look at, we talked about it in Edmonton too, right?
The Draisaitl.
Like, yeah, exactly. So, and everybody has their opinion. Everybody thinks that they know, or at least they're trying to get their angle and stuff like that. And then if it doesn't come out the right way, then and you catch a player on a bad day, next thing you have a big blow up, right? So I think a lot of it is the members of the media, especially here, are just, they're smart. You guys know what to ask, when to ask it, when to kind of back off, and if you have the opportunity to actually get in the room with the player, some FaceTime with a player, that's kind of where the foundation is laid. And I think Wino, I think you're one of the best at it, is you can just sit there and hang out for half an hour and talk, and it doesn't have to be about a story.
Sure.
It's just a conversation. So I think I think a lot of it comes back to the media, to be honest, and that's why you get some of the good answers and the good people. You get to see some personality shine.
And this is why I think we need the open locker room back. And this is why, like, even the last couple of years, there have been guys who are in sports now, who have never, in pro sports now, who've never dealt with an open locker room. Scott, I know we've talked at Commanders about this, is what it's going to be like for guys, rookies, second-year players who've never dealt with an open locker room. But it's so beneficial to be around and be able to get to know guys, because I know out of Commanders and certainly a little bit with the Capitals, when you don't see guys every day, it's hard to kind of know what's going on in guys' lives and kind of beyond sports.
In any line of business, in any work, it's all about relationships, right? You got to develop that rapport and trust, and I think that's where that open locker room angle comes in. And back to your original question, Wino, just with my Carson Wentz questioning, again, it certainly was a polarizing topic, and I certainly understand where people can take that line of questioning a certain way, but I've always been pretty direct in my questions.
As am I, so I feel you that way.
I always try to be respectful, and I know you and I talked, off camera. You can debate tone and framing of a question until the end of time. I know, like, how my style is. I was not trying to be aggressive. I was not trying to be combative. Certainly, I could have. There may be some of that TV flair there, that I had in terms of like my hand gestures and whatnot. But ultimately, I was just trying to be conversational, and that's where my always. I don't want to come out like a robotic or a machine. And it was it was one question of an 11-minute interview, and certainly people are just taking that one question and just kind of dissecting it, which is fine. But I know what I was trying to accomplish, and I was not trying to bait Carson Wentz. I was not trying to be aggressive to Carson Wentz. It was a tough, direct, fair question. And the best part of all, Carson Wentz handled it like a pro. He had a great answer,
and he's good, right?
And we had a great 11-minute interview, which I stand behind. And it was just unfortunate, kind of what happened after that. But again, I stick to the question.
This is I have a funny story like this. I don't know if you remember this, Carl. We had Dennis Weidman on last month, and there was that series you guys played against the Bruins. The series you guys won in 7 games. And I remember Dennis was on the ice for like 5 of the last 7 even strength goals against, or something like that. And I remember going up to Dennis in the locker room and being like, How do you think you played? And he's like, I think I played pretty well. And I just went to him. I was like, okay, well, here's the information. You've been on the ice for this. What do you think of this? And it was blunt, but I think Dennis appreciated that.
Yeah. Oh, of all people, Dennis will.
Of course.
It's that. That's that's what you know. You know your person that you're talking to and how you can ask a question too. That right there comes from relationship building. But yeah, you know what? It's tough because some players are very sensitive, right? And a question, a tough question can get in their head, and whether or not they will admit it, it can mess with them,
sure,
right?
can.
And then they have a hard. Yeah. So it depends on the player, but for the most part, it's nice to have an opportunity to explain. If I've been on the ice for 5 of the last 7 goals, maybe there's an explanation.
That's why you ask.
Exactly. And same thing, with a football player, right? There's so many things that might be going on behind the scenes that we have no idea about. You might have a bad thing going on at home, and you can't focus. When you're on the field, like there's all these things, and it's nice to give a player the opportunity to say something. If they're going to tell you, the truth, then they'll tell you the truth. If they don't want to, then they don't, and they'll dodge the question, and we see what happens after that. But I think for the most part, you always want to have a chance to voice your opinion, and some sports are different than others. I know hockey, a lot of times guys like to keep it as close to the chest as possible, but occasionally you'll get someone on the right time as well, and they're going to give it to you straight, and then there you go, it's case closed after that. So I think in my opinion, it's always nice to ask the question, right? Otherwise you just write about it, the way that you see it, and then the player will find out about it later and then be pissed about it. So I think it's a good way to go about it.
You know who, in terms of hockey, who I really enjoyed was Niskanen. Niskanen was always very blunt, and I felt like he always gave genuine responses, and he had a little gruffness to him, but he was always direct, and I felt like he didn't beat around the bush, and he just basically said what he felt at the time. So I always appreciated Niski for that.
Yeah, I've said this before. I love because I drove with Niski to the rink pretty much every single game. So I asked him lots of questions. He's more of the I'll answer the questions. I'm not really much of a question asker, and I'm a little bit of both, I guess. And so I'd ask him a lot, and I'd watch him doing interviews too. And the question would come, and most people, they get the question and their mouth opens up and they start talking. Niski, he kind of he takes a couple seconds, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He's like, okay, this was the question. What is my actual opinion? And he has absolutely no problem with a little bit of awkward silence, right? He'll just sit there until he's ready to answer it, until he's figured out exactly what his opinion is on it, and then he'll give it to you. And I love that, because I think a lot of times we don't do that enough, where we just kind of sit with our thought for a second before we blurt it out, right? Like everyone sometimes could benefit from a speed bump from the brain to the tongue, and so we don't start saying things that we want to take back. So I'd say that's Niski for you.
Yeah, and I think Matt Niskanen is the longest shot on the board of anyone to get on the show, because I don't think there's any chance he would ever do this show.
I think he's enjoying retirement on the lake, and he's so far removed from hockey.
Yes, I just talked to him a week ago about coming out to DC for an alumni event, and he's like, God, no, sorry, that's hunting season. I'm not leaving
Look,
it. And half the time, I don't think he has reception either. So it's
Where's
the way it
he?
is.
He's Minnesota, right?
Yes, he is. He is Virginia, Minnesota.
Okay.
If it's not hunting season, it's fishing season. We'll get other people on. We've talked about. We'll try to get Brett Connolly. We'll try to get some players on as we get on in the next few weeks here. But next up will be Carl's favorite part of the show when Scott Abraham becomes the latest victim of Carl's stupid questions.
Ah, Portugal. There's so much to do, but so little I feel like I have to do when we are here. Talk about a foreign feeling. When we are back from vacation, let's make sure we are still on track with our investment plans. You know, just in case we want to retire here.
With Vanguard Advice, no matter what your retirement goals are, we can help you get there. That's the value of ownership. Visit Vanguard.com and explore Vanguard Advice. All investing is subject to risk. Fund shareholders own the funds that own Vanguard. Services are provided by Vanguard Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor.
Welcome back to All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner and ABC7 Scott Abraham. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino, and now Carl's favorite portion of the show, Carl's Stupid Questions.
Yes, love it. We got to get another victim here. We're building out our list. Things are looking pretty good. I'm ready for you. Hopefully you understand how it's all going to work. No right or wrong answer. However, I do have a preference on answers, so good luck.
Okay.
All right. Question number 1 is, what would you say is your guilty pleasure?
I am big into flossing. So like those little the flossers that you not the ones you put on your finger, but just like the stick flossers. Like I find myself always just randomly flossing my teeth, whether it's driving or sitting on the couch watching TV. I'm big into flossing, so that's kind of my guilty pleasure.
And I'll say this, it's a weird guilty pleasure, but I am holding one of those in my hand as we speak.
Yep.
I am the exact same way. I floss the heck out of my teeth, and I actually had to slow down. Do you have this issue where, like, do you find that you get tooth sensitivity because you're flossing too much?
No, not too bad. No, honestly, no. I just I hate the sensation of having like meat or something in between my teeth, and I just when I ever feel like flossing, I just do my thing.
I love it. That's actually a great answer. +1 bonus points. All right. Question number 2 is, what would you say your dream vacation is? Is it a beach vacation, winter, sightseeing? Is it with family, with friends? What would you pick?
Wino knows me pretty well. This is easy. I love the beach. I am sunshine, waves, white sandy beaches, and it would just be my wife and I, tropical location. I would love it to be just like a island by ourselves, like nobody around, no human. Like I literally would be just so happy with a nice fruity drink in my hands, maybe a good book to read, and the beach and the sunshine and the waves. I'm one happy person, Carl.
That's awesome. Good. I mean, it's so simple. It's but it's so good. It's one of those things where when you are in that, you have that beach vacation and it's just relaxing with nothing on your schedule. It feels so good. But I have a hard. This is a tough question for me because I love sightseeing. I love staying busy, and I absolutely love the snow. But I think when it comes down to it, I mean, you can't go wrong with the beach either. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So good, another good one there. Nice work. Now this one, I've never opened it up this far, but what would you say your favorite sports uniform is of all sports? So normally we'd go just with hockey, but I'm curious to add in some football, baseball, basketball, all that. So what would you say if you do have one that kind of really hits home for you?
I really enjoyed, they're no longer a team, the Seattle Supersonics, back with Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. They had the green and the neon green, neon yellow. I just loved, I thought it popped because it was such a different, unique color at the time. You didn't see it too often. I know like the Seahawks kind of adopted it, but I'd go back to the old days with Detlef Schrempf, NBA Jam, and Kemp and Payton, the Seattle Supersonics back in the day.
Nice, love that little glove action
Carl,
there.
if you allowed past hockey teams, the Hartford Whalers would absolutely be my answer.
Yeah, that's
right.
You said that before. It is a great uniform.
And if you want to go hockey, I loved the Vancouver Canucks back in Pavel Bure and their '94.
The flying skate one, yes.
Yeah, that is so
well.
good.
Yep.
They've worn that, I think, a little bit the last couple of years. It's so funny. Like being from Vancouver, it was when that jersey was in action. It was kind of a lot of people didn't really like it, and then they switched to that Orca, and everybody was so fired up about it. And now it's coming back again. Now everybody's so happy to see those jerseys. I just like that color.
Yeah.
Like there isn't another color combo that's anywhere close to that.
It was interesting. It was interesting how Vancouver totally changed their color scheme. Like from those '94 years to where they are now, it's a totally different color scheme.
I hate the blue and green. I hate it. Yeah. I hate the logo. We love Bruce Boudreau and all that. I hate the blue and green and the Orca with the Canucks. There's nothing in hockey that's more overrated and dumb than the blue and green of the Canucks with that logo.
That's hilarious. I personally kind of like it.
That's the hottest take I might ever have on the show.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, everyone's got their opinion, but I don't know. I think it's nice in small doses.
Give me that flying skate black with the yellow and the red. I love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. Good uniform. Okay. This one. If you could have the Spill All exclusive, nothing's off the table. Who would you want to have that interview with?
You know what? Tiger Woods is a fascinating person to me of everything he's gone through off the golf course. I just think just a spill all, no holds bar, put it all on the table. What happened with his ex-wife, what happened with the accident in LA. I want to know everything. I think Tiger Woods would be an amazing sit down and just, going at it with him question for question.
Yes, that's actually my choice as well.
He's a popular answer. He's a popular answer on this one.
Yes, he really is. So I don't want to alarm you, but right now you have just about a perfect score going into your final two questions. So this could be make or break.
This is like a no-hitter through 6.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Give me your favorite type of food. Is it do you like Mexican food, Indian food, Italian, or if it's a specific dish, what's your go-to?
So I'm Italian and Lebanese, so I tend to gravitate toward my Italian. I love nothing more than just a simple angel hair pasta with marinara and meatballs. Maybe throw a vodka sauce in with as well. But I'm a simple guy. I can do a lasagna. But I just love my spaghetti and meatballs. And again, just like your beach question, I'd just be so happy just sitting down with a nice glass of red, maybe a cab, and just have my pasta and meatballs.
Love it. Simple. That would be my wife's answer right there. So
all right,
you get some points there as well. Okay, final question. See where you're at on this all-time list here. What is your favorite all-time TV show, TV series?
So I was never a big TV watcher, like a Seinfeld or like any of that, X-Files, Law and Order. Never got into that. But what I did get into kind of growing up was Survivor. So I really enjoy watching Survivor every season. I don't think I've missed a season since they started my senior year. Since my senior year in high school, which was in 2001, I graduated from high school. So I've basically been religious in terms of watching Survivor every season, and I just really enjoy it and how they've evolved. They've evolved over time, adding new wrinkles, and it just goes to show you the popularity of that show from starting in 2001 to here we are 20 years later, and it's still going strong and just as popular as ever. So my favorite TV show is probably Survivor.
Okay, so I don't even know what to say. I gotta invite you into my Survivor pool because
let's do it.
I run a Survivor pool.
Okay.
It is also my favorite TV show.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah, can you give me your all-time favorite Survivor? Your favorite cast member?
Oh man, I would have to say Rupert. I really
Yes.
loved Rupert with the tie-dyed shirt and just the beard of how he's just such a happy-go-lucky guy, but he'd also cut your throat out in challenges. So I just loved Rupert and his personality. So
And he's
that's probably
adorable.
my favorite.
And he's adorable when his wife comes to visit
Yeah.
too.
Oh God. I mean, the family visits, I just cried nonstop every time. Just their reaction of seeing their kids or their husband and wife. That's one of the best parts.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's hilarious. Well, that is a near perfect round right there. Wino, I don't think that we've ever had anything like this before. So hold on, this is going to take a while to add up here. Okay, philosophy.
There's a whole formula here.
Yeah, hold on. I just got to add it into my calculator really quick. That puts you, and this is intense. 475 points, which absolutely blows everybody out of the water. That takes you straight into first place overall by over 200 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys,
So
this is I had a lot of resume building moments. This is certainly up there.
I'm stunned. I didn't think anyone would top 300, and now we're almost to 500 now. You nailed it.
Yeah.
So I can brag come open locker room. What Caps guys have you had on here? So I can be like, I just destroyed you on Alsner's game.
Oshie and McMichael so far, right?
Oshie and McMichael.
Yeah, Oshie.
Okay, good. I'm gonna have some fun with Oshie then.
Yeah, I think he was leading the way actually, or he was.
He was up there,
I think
right?
I think they were first or second.
They were first, yeah.
Yeah, 277 points.
All right.
So you just crushed that. So
yeah. I think a new Survivor season's coming up in the fall. So give me a ring, Carl. We'll do it.
Yes, I will. I got a new format this year too. It's going to be fun. So we'll have a pretty good crew.
Cool, man.
Setting a new bar on Carl's Stupid Questions. Scott, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate it.
Everybody, thanks for listening on All's Caps. We'll talk to you next week.